It's not every day that you get to make a review for a game that you just played, which has ants in space and lots of gravity. And it's a game that it's a ton of fun. It's really, really hilarious, both in terms of gameplay. It's very, very simple to learn, and it's highly enjoyable and entertaining. I really give my opinion straight ahead. Typically I do that at the end of this video, where I say more about my first impressions, but I like to highlight from the start that this is a game that, if you ever played a game which is called Worms on a PC or on any other platform, Worms Armageddon, Worms whatever, the original one, this board game is going to scratch that feeling on tabletop, on your table, and it's a ton of fun. So, what's ANTgravity? ANTgravity, which is a game instead of anti-gravity, it's ANTgravity. It's a game about ants in space, which are in constant battle, trying to capture flags and bring them back to their base. And the person who does that first, with 3 victory points, 2 points for your own color flag and 1 point for the neutral flags. You cannot pick up the opponent flags. They will win the game instantly. Otherwise, if the set number of rounds ends according to the number of players, the player who has the most victory points wins the game, and then there is a nice selection of tiebreakers, which also are really interesting. The interesting part about this game is how incredible thematic it feels. You know, simply you either draw a card, or you activate one of your 2 ants, and then the second, you do the same for your second ant during your turn. But here's the catch. You can jump and rotate, and then the gravity is going to pull you towards the direction of the arrow on your token of your ant. That means you're going to be stopped in the table, in the playing area, either by another ant, an asteroid, which they are also destructible, a space base, or something else that stops your gravity pull, which always in the direction of the arrow and always for the active player. And there can be a domino of effects that you can fire a missile and attack another another asteroid, and then this will trigger the ants that they are have landed on it to start pulling towards the arrows and start moving in that direction. So it's a game that has a fair amount of tactics, simple tactics, but interesting and high enjoyable tactics. It's a pick up and deliver game in essence, because you're trying to pick up your flag or neutral flags from the different locations on the board and then deliver them to your base. And you also have hand management and playing cards in the course of the game, which typically are fun cards like, again, equipment or weapons, which again remind me, and I'm saying this in a nice way, Worms, the video game, which is a fantastic video game. It's one of those games that really marked my youth when I was growing up, and I really enjoyed. And I know there is a board game called Worms Out from ANTgravity, but this plays different from that one, but ANTgravity really scratches this feeling, and I want to highlight that. Now, I'm going to explain how the game plays. I'm going to replace the rulebook for you. It's going to be also, there are going to be also timestamps in the description of the video, where you can find out specific sections of how the game plays, what you do, how do you win, etc. And you can follow the timestamps for quick navigation. And I'm going to add a bit more detailed impressions at the end of the video, where I wrap up my first impressions about the game and what feeling it left me with, which is a pretty positive, as you can understand. The game is running, it's going to run on GameFound. I'm adding a link in the description of the video below, where you can find out more. There's going to be more things to be discovered there. I highly recommend you to have a look and check it out. But let's first see how the game plays. The vastness of space holds a secret. Amidst the asteroids, strange mound-shaped bases have been erected, housing crowds of unusual inhabitants, armed to the antenna. The calm before the storm is shattered by the sudden blast of a plasma cannon, fired by a brave ant. This is a signal for another battle to begin. From the anthills, teams of ants, equipped with grenades and laser guns, set out ready for anything, just to capture strategic flags. The war has raged for so long that no one remembers who started it or why. Only one thing matters: who will emerge victorious in this. Now, let's talk about ANTgravity, the game. Welcome to ANTgravity, a board game where cosmic ants battle both unusual gravity and each other to capture flags. Why, you ask? We doubt they even remember. After all, entertainment options in space are rather limited. ANTgravity is a tactical game about clash between space ants using the latest technology in the furthest corners of the cosmos. Your goal is to deliver flags captured from the common distant regions of space back to your base. And to achieve this, you will move your ants across the board, play cards and take advantage of asteroid formations. However, remember that your opponents are not just another players, but also the ever-present gravity itself. Whether you use it to your advantage or let it become an obstacle will significantly impact the course of the game for you. Whoever captures the right flags the fastest will be the winner of this game. First of all, let's familiarize ourselves with the game components. We have a game board that you see already in front of you, which depicts the area where the actual battles between the space ants takes place. There are 45 double-sided asteroid tokens. These are already set up for a 4-player game. These look like that from the back side, and once you flip them through destruction or any other means, they may be of either empty or occupied with this option, which I will explain, either to draw a card or to get an energy token, but more of that later. At the beginning of the game, all of the asteroid tokens start full structure intensity, let's say, or full structure capacity, let's say. Once they take a damage, they will flip like that. If they have this option, they need one more damage, and then the effect will be applied. More on that later. The asteroid will be removed, the effect will be applied once flipped, or they may be one damage, one hit point, meaning that once you flip them, you just turn it over and then you remove it. You don't have one more life for them, let's say. The next thing you find is the Doom tokens. These Doom tokens have various icons. We have one on each of the rounds. If you see, this is a round tracker, depending on the number of players. This is if you're playing 2 players, or the marker starts here if you're playing a 4-player game. You play a specific amount of rounds, and on each subsequent space, you have one Doom token. Once in the course of the game, you will flip it, and various things can happen, from receiving mines to receiving energy tokens, or the effects of asteroids being destroyed won't apply, and so on. The amount of tokens that are going to be used, Doom tokens, depend on the number of rounds we're playing, which again depends on the number of players playing the game. So in a 4-player game, the round marker starts on the 3rd slot, meaning on the right of the start round, every round spot will receive a Doom token, but more on that during setup. Next we have ant bases. The ant bases come in the 4 different player colors. That means there are you have a yellow, a blue, a red and a green. Okay, I already set up the game so you can see them on board. This is a 4-player game setup. You can either have a specific for 3 or 2 players. We have the ant tokens. Ant tokens belong, again, they're color coded to the player. Each player gets 2 space ants, these markers here, and during setup they will be attached with gravity on the respective color base belonging to the yellow player in this case. We have energy tokens, which we can spend to receive cards, but more on that later. Okay. We have mine tokens, which you can acquire through different ways, and they can be attached on asteroids, and then they go boom, as you would imagine. We have the neutral bases. Like your color-coded bases belonging to the players, we have the neutral bases, which have a specific flag icon to indicate which flags match that neutral base respectively. We have the first player token, which looks like that. Again, keep in mind that everything you see here in front of you is a prototype, so follow the campaign to find out more about upgrades and updates on the looks of the game. And then we have a variety of cards. They all have the same back. They have this crate in space with a questionnaire, with a question mark. And they belong in different types of cards. So you can have other arsenal cards, which could be either weapons with this icon, or equipment, again with this icon. But what differentiates the equipment with the weapon is the zap means equipment and they have green border, the bum means weapon and they have the orange border. These are the arsenal cards. In addition, we have the legendary cards, which they can be either orange or green, meaning again weapon or equipment, and you differentiate those from the arsenal, which have the ammo in this spot with this holy death grenade icon. Okay, there are different cards here, and I just left one on their respective discard. Normally it starts with none. Okay, you just fix it, but more on that later so that you can see easily what's what. So there you have it. These are all the components of the game. So let's proceed with the game setup. Game setup. First we place the board in the center of the table, we shuffle the asteroid tokens and we place one face up on each icon on the board with the asteroid token. That means each of those is going to receive one face down asteroid token. Again, keep in mind that asteroid tokens on the back, they look like that. In the front they could be either empty or almost distracted, means one more hit and they go. But during setup, everything in asteroids is going to be face down. Then we place a supply of mines and energy tokens next to the board. Let me show you. This is a supply of mines and this is a supply of energy tokens. Okay, we can have them in a pile or a container. Just lay them flat so that you can see how many they are. Next we place the round marker on the space on the doom track. This is the doom track, by the way. We place it on the space matching the number of players taking part in the game. If we're playing a 2-player game, it's going to be here. If we're playing a 4-player game, it's going to be here. Now, on the rest of the spaces, on the right of the starting spot for the round marker, we're going to shuffle the doom tokens face down, and we're going to place one face down without looking what's on the front side on each of the remaining spots for rounds on the right side of the round marker on each of the doom token spaces. Any leftover doom tokens are going to be set aside without checking what's on them. Having said that, and having done that, we proceed with choosing randomly the first player. That's a player who gets the first player token, okay, and will be the first player in the course of the game. Then each player selects a color and takes 2 ANT tokens. These are these tokens here, their base matching their color, plus their flags in the respective color. Okay, these are going to be used during setup and placed on specific spots depending on the number of rounds, and you're going to be trying to retrieve your own flag in order to gain 2 victory points for each flag of your own color, plus 1 more point for each neutral white flag. You cannot pick up the colored flags of other players. Depending on the number of players, you place neutral bases. The neutral bases are the bases with the white flag, and they have an icon with indicating the matching flags that they link with this neutral base. Okay, so this flag links with this base. This flag links with this base, respectively. So depending on the number of players, we place neutral bases and white flags, as well as ANT bases and flags of the player colors on the board during setup. And in the rulebook you can see how to set up a game for 2 players, for 3 players and for 4 players respectively. Okay, so more on that later. What I've shown you before, it's a setup of 4 players, which I'm using to explain this game. Now, having said that, each player takes a starting wings card to hand, which is this card here. You can see that this is the only card in the game which is purple to indicate that it's a starting card. Okay, you gain 1. Each player starts with 1 of those, the wings card, and the remaining wings cards, if you're playing less than 4 players, are going to be returned to the box, not going to be used in the course of the game. Next, take all the legendary cards out of the arsenal deck. The legendary cards, as I mentioned, are the cards, so they can be either green or orange, meaning bum or zap, that they have on the right side this icon. So this is a legendary card, this is a legendary card, this is a legendary card, and so on. You take those cards, you shuffle them, and you create a draw pile which you place on the respective bottom right side of the board, which is here. There is room for discard of the legendary cards on the left of the deck. Likewise, you divide the remaining cards into the two different types of weapons, weapons cards, and which have the BAM, so these are the weapon cards, and equipment cards which have the zap. So weapon, BAM, orange, equipment, green, zap. So you create two different decks of those cards, okay, with the respective cards, and you place them on the bottom draw piles respectively. On the side of each of these respective deck of cards, the Arsenal BAM cards, there is a discard pile, and the Arsenal Zap cards, there is a discard pile likewise. Now, starting with the first player, each of the players draws the following cards. The first player takes one weapon and or one weapon or one equipment. So one orange or one green. The second player receives two weapon or equipment, or one and one, for a total of two cards. The third person receives three, again, from each of the decks, and the fourth player receives, again, three, but in addition they also receive one energy token. And that's the original setup. Again, each player can choose how many cards to draw from each arsenal stack. For example, the third player can take 3 weapon cards, or 1 weapon and 2 equipment cards. And that's how you compensate for starting second, third or fourth in a multiplayer game. Now, starting with the first player and going clockwise, each player places both of their ants on any empty space adjacent to a base of their matching color. An empty space is a space with no other tokens, asteroids or other ants. Let's see how this translates. In this case, the blue player can either place the 2 ants here, or one here and one here, or one here and one here, doesn't matter. They need to be on adjacent empty spaces. It cannot be on the asteroids. Okay, they need to be empty, meaning no other asteroid, base, or any other or even ant in the course of the game. But during setup, you just have to select 2 of the empty spaces adjacent to your base and place your ants. When you place your ant, you need to make sure that the arrow is pointing towards your base, because this indicates the gravity. So the gravity is towards that and that, so meaning you cannot place it like that, but you can place it like that, attached with the arrow pointing towards your base. Later during the game, the ants will be moving onto asteroids and other bases. This phase will always mean that an ant is on a space adjacent to an asteroid or a base with the gravity arrow pointing towards it. More on that and how the game is played later on. So that's the last step of the setup. We are ready to begin the game. Now, what you see here in front of you is a setup for 4 players as described in the rulebook. That means that if you don't like, for example, the blue player to be here, you can be here, and the yellow can be here. Doesn't matter, okay? But you need to adjust also respectively the location of your flags, because you need to go there and retrieve them, and they will award you 2 victory points, okay? So this is a setup example, exactly a replica of what the rulebook has for a 4-player game. You can also have referred to the rulebook for a 2-player setup and a 3-player setup. Game overview. The game is played over a set number of rounds depending on the number of players, and in each round players take turns starting from the first player and continue in the clockwise order, and after the final round players count the victory points from the collected flags to determine the winner. Let's see now the player turn overview. First, return your ants from the hospital and place them next to your base. Second, activate your first ant. Second and third, activate your second ant. So 3 steps. Return your ants from the hospital, place them next to your base, then you activate your first ant, and then you activate your second ant. Now let's see each of those steps easy with some more details. First, return your ants from hospital. At the start of your turn, all your ants that are currently in hospital, this is a hospital location, are returned to the game, are returned to your availability, and you place them attached to your base. So let's say in this example, let's say both of my ants, for some reason of bad planning or bad luck, were at the hospital. That means when the yellow player's turn it is, then they will take any ants they have on the hospital and place them on spaces, empty spaces, attached with the gravity pointing towards their base, next to their base. Then, activating the first ant or drawing a card. You choose one of your ants, no matter where they are on the board, as long as they are within play. And, meaning if they're in, you're starting from your base, or if they have progressed down the road towards a flag, most possibly. You choose one of your ants and activate it. And during activation, you can, in any order, move the ant and play a card. And you can also perform any number of additional actions: flag pickup, flag pass, or flag touchdown. Okay? So, at this step, you activate the first ant or you draw a card. If you decide to draw a card, you don't do anything else. You just waste all your first ant's turn by drawing a card. Okay? If you don't draw a card, you are able to activate the first ant and perform all the steps that I mentioned. Activating the second ant or drawing a card again. Proceed in the same way as with the first ant. After you have activated both of your ants, your turn ends, and next player to your left begins their turn, same like you, taking all their ants from the hospital, activating their first ant and activating their second ant. A word about gravity. As you might have guessed, what plays a huge role in ANTgravity is, of course, gravity. It constantly affects all ants on the board. During the gameplay, whenever an ant moves through space, it must act according to its gravity, meaning it will fall in the direction indicated by the arrow on its token, down, until it encounters an obstacle, meaning an asteroid, a base, or another ant, where it can safely land, or it entirely falls off the play area, which means the grid of hexagonal spaces on the board. Gravity has an effect on most actions in the game. It is resolved only by the active player, separately for each ant, and in any order they choose. And gravity is checked whenever the board state changes, after a move, playing a card, etc. Anytime an asteroid is removed from the board, for each ant individually, and when this happens, the ant falls in the direction indicated by its arrow and continues until it either lands on an obstacle, a base, an asteroid, or another ant, or falls off the play area, which results in its elimination. It's moved to the hospital area and you will be able to get it, or the player who lost it, on the next start of their next round. Now, to demonstrate this quickly, but this is the simplest way to demonstrate it. You can understand that this can be done in a million combinations in the game, but let's say focus on this ant which is attached this asteroid by its gravity. Okay, this asteroid. If for some reason this asteroid is destroyed, removed, whatever, that means this ant is going to be falling according to the arrow in the gravity until it finds another obstacle, meaning another asteroid, another ant, another base, etc. If it doesn't find anything, any obstacle in its way, with the direction of the pointing arrow, they will eventually fall off the grid and they will be eliminated for this round, and they will be recovered at the beginning of the next round from the player from the hospital. Ant movement. An ant's movement can consist of a jump and a turn. A jump means moving an ant to any adjacent empty space. Example, a space where there is no other ant base or asteroid token. A turn involves rotating the ant token and setting its gravity in the chosen direction. When activating an ant, you always perform a jump first, followed by a turn. Keep in mind that you may skip the jump phase and only perform the turn. At the end of the movement, you must resolve the effect of gravity, following the pointing of your ant's arrow. Now, let's see an example of this. So, an example of just performing skipping the movement and performing a turn could be, let's say, one example could be to perform a turn, meaning skipping the movement, skipping the jump, which happens first. So I don't do a jump, I just do a turn. So when I do a turn, I just decide the direction of the ant, and then gravity takes its role, and that means this ant will move like that. But another option would be to do a jump first and then a gravity. So when I do a jump, I can jump to an adjacent space, meaning either here, here, or here, okay? So an empty adjacent space. So let's say I jump from here, here, okay? And now when I perform the turn, I may decide to not do a turn and then I'm automatically attached here. But when I perform a turn, let's say I choose a direction, and then the gravity takes place, which means in this case my ant will move all the way down here. So jump first, you can skip it if you want, and then turn, and then perform the gravity check, which will result most probably in your ant moving in the direction, hopefully towards your desired role spot. Playing a card. Play a card from your hand, resolve and apply its effect, and after resolving the card, discard it to the appropriate discard spot. All legendary cards are discarded to the same discard pile, while basic cards have separate discard piles for weapons and equipment, respectively. Wing cards are always removed from the game after are used. Remember, you start with a wings card, after you use it, you remove it from the game. Now, weapons, the cards with the bomb and the orange border, are used to attack opponent ants and destroy asteroids. When using a weapon, you must first define the line of fire, which we will explain later. A missile is fired in the chosen direction, hits the first obstacle encountered, an ant, a base, or an asteroid, unless the card says otherwise, and triggers the effect described on the card itself. If the missile does not hit any obstacles along its way, it flies off the play area. In this case, you fire two separate missiles and you damage its hit asteroid. Okay, so that's a nice way to start removing asteroids by playing this bazooka. After you resolve, again, remember you can play a card as well as performing the ant movement. Okay, so you move the ant and then you play a card, and then, or in any order, you can play the card and then move the ant, activate the ant. And in any case, if you use the card, you're going to discard it in the respective pile. Now, we have also equipment, the ones with the zap and green border. Equipment is used to perform an additional movement within your active ant, draw cards, or move asteroids. When using equipment, there is no need to define the line of fire. Its effect covers the entire play area unless the card itself specifies otherwise. There are different effects that they are explained in the rulebook. Okay, they're pretty straightforward, but there is also explanation so that there is no need for scratching one's head. In this case, we place a mine token. Place one mine token each on any two asteroids, and on each asteroid there can only be one mine token, and that's a way to start placing mines on asteroids, which again, remember, they go boom. More on that later. Now, a word about line of fire. Line of fire is determined along the line of spaces from any edge of the starting space. Note that the line of fire may be different from the direction indicated by the gravity arrow. Okay, so for example, let's focus on this blue ant. Okay, its line of fire can either be from here towards that direction, hitting this one, theoretically. From here towards that direction, hitting this yellow ant. From here towards this direction, going and hitting that first obstacle. Okay, or from here towards that direction is empty, towards that direction is empty outside of the board, or from here towards there and hit this asteroid, which you're not going to want to do because then you're going to fall off with the gravity. But again, the line of fire can be in either direction until you find an obstacle, obviously, from your starting point to your target. Additional actions: flag pickup, pass, and touchdown are additional actions. When activating an ant, you can perform any number of additional actions in any order, independent of moving or playing a card. You may alternate between main actions and additional ones. However, remember that you cannot interrupt a main action, movement or playing a card to perform an additional action. You can either do it before or after. Let's see now the three options. Flag pickup. The active ant may pick up a flag from a base it is adjacent to one of the base's edges, and the gravity arrow is pointing towards that base. You can pick up either a neutral, white flag, or a flag of your own color, but not the other player's colors. Once the flag is picked up, the ant moves it along with it. To indicate that, you place a flag on the ant token itself. In this example here, I want to demonstrate the following. This ant is next to the base, but it cannot pick up a flag because its arrow is pointing not towards the base, but towards an adjacent asteroid. This ant, again, cannot pick up from the base a flag because its arrow is pointing, even though it's adjacent to the base, but its arrow is pointing towards the opposite asteroid. Again, it cannot pick up. But this ant here, it has its arrow pointing towards the base. You see, this is the base, okay? And it can pick up any of the flags on there as a flag pickup. Obviously, from those, it cannot pick up the green one because only the green player can pick it up. It can either pick up the yellow one or any of the neutral ones. Of course, you will decide to pick up the yellow because a flag of your own color gives 2 points. Neutral flags give you 1 point at the end of the game. That means moving forward, when this ant activates, it will carry the flag with it together. That means in the next round you can jump, jump and then rotate, and then gravity will pull it there. And it will continue carrying over the flag with the sole purpose to deliver it on its own color yellow base, because then it's going to secure the flag in front of the player, which means it's guaranteed 2 victory points if it's your own color, or 1 victory point if it's a white color at the end of the game. Flag pass. The active ant may pass the flag it is carrying to the other ant from the same team, so yellow to yellow, for example. To do this, both ants must be on adjacent spaces with the gravity arrow of the active ant pointing towards the other ant. In the same way, the active ant may take the flag from another ant from the same team in the way that I'm showing you here, because its arrow is pointing towards the ant carrying the flag, and then they can pick it up. Okay? And that's a free additional action, which means if they're starting the round, that means they can jump, and then they can rotate so that they can start moving towards their base, hopefully carrying their flag to deliver it in the next rounds. And that brings us to the third and last additional action. Again, it's a free action. It's a flag touchdown. When the active ant is carrying a flag and it's on its base, it may deliver the flag to the base. The captured flag becomes your trophy. You place it next to your available energy tokens, and it's secured for the end of the game. In this case, let's say we activate this ant. It jumps. Okay, and now it's touching the base. So it delivers the flag to its own color base. So you pick up the flag and put it in front of the yellow player next to their respective energy tokens with all the collected flags to award them, in this case, 2 victory points at the end of the game. A few things to remember. An ant can only carry 1 flag at a time. Also, if the ant carrying a flag is eliminated, the flag must be placed back on the base from which it was picked up. And you can identify that because you can also see, the icon on the flag matching the base with the same icon. Okay, very simple. Drawing a card. Instead of activating your ant, meaning not jump, not play a card, that means instead of activating your ant, you may choose to draw an arsenal card. If you choose to draw a card, the ant cannot perform any additional actions. Okay, so I can either choose from the weapon or from the equipment. In any case, I choose my card and take it to my hand.
Ant elimination. As a result of movement or a card effect, an ant may be eliminated in one of 4 ways. Falling off the play area. If it happens, it will, if while falling in the direction of its gravity arrow, an ant does not encounter an obstacle to land on, that means you fall off the play area. You are not allowed to perform a movement action in such a way so that you voluntarily, your active ant would fall off the play area as a direct result of your movement. However, you may destroy an asteroid your ant is on as a result, so it falls off the play area, but it's not treated as a movement. Okay, so in this case, for example, let's say the blue player would destroy this ant intentionally so that they will follow and fall off the play area, and they will go to the hospital because they're far away maybe from their, blue base, and they want to start their next round from this spot instead of playing rounds to go towards there. Okay, it will be a tactical decision. Another way to have ant elimination is by splat. It is a situation in which, as a result of an effect of a weapon card, an ant is pushed onto a space already occupied by an obstacle, an asteroid base or an other ant. If this happens, the pushed ant is eliminated. So let's say, for example, we had this player here, okay, and let's say the ant was there. Where? Let's say the ant was there, okay, and an effect was pushing it towards this meteor. Okay, in this case, the ant would splat, and they will be again eliminated on the hospital, and they will be accessible to the blue player on their start of their turn. Another way to have this is also collision. Collision can happen if, for example, you have 2 ants sitting on the same asteroid like that, and then this is destroyed, and then these would fall and collide with themselves, and they both are going to be removed and placed on the hospital in the same way. Last but not least, we can have a card effect, which is very typical. Some cards also let you eliminate directly another player's ant, and in this way, again, they will end up in the hospital. A bonus for ant elimination. Whenever an opponent's ant is eliminated during your turn, you gain 1 energy token, and you take it in front of you together with the rest of the energy tokens you have. The eliminated ant is placed in the hospital area and will be returned to the game at the start of its owner's next turn, deployed next to their base. The player whose ant was eliminated by an opponent draws 1 legendary card from the legendary deck as a compensation. This is the only way to gain legendary cards during the game, as a compensation because your ant was eliminated by another player. Asteroids. If you hit an asteroid with a missile as a result of playing a card or another effect, immediately flip its token and apply the revealed effect. So let's say we hit this asteroid, we're going to immediately reveal it and apply its effect. This is a damaged. The asteroid is damaged and stays in its place with the damage symbol face up. You immediately gain 1 energy token or draw a basic arsenal card. You choose the type, weapon or equipment. And then it stays here on its place. This is a damaged asteroid. If this damaged asteroid is hit again, then it is immediately removed and returned to the asteroid pool. Another option, when you hit when you damage and hit an asteroid, let's say we damage this asteroid, we reveal it, that means it's already destroyed, which means the asteroid is destroyed and returns to its token to the asteroid pool immediately. Only the active player receives the bonus for destroying an asteroid, and keep in mind that ant bases and neutral bases are indestructible. You do not flip them when they are hit. Mines. Some cards and Doom tokens allow players to place mine tokens, these are the mine tokens, directly on asteroids. If any ant lands on an asteroid which has a mine token on it, then the mine is immediately detonated and you remove the mine token and apply the asteroid's effect. All ants on that asteroid are eliminated. If a mine asteroid is moved, for example with a magnet card, the mine token moves together with it. So let's say a combo, let's say another player attacks this asteroid and it's destroyed, that means that this is going to go directly there from gravity point of view, and as soon as it touches the mine goes boom. That means that this is immediately removed, applied its effect, and all ants that they were next to the mine, they go next to the hospital. That's just an example. Energy. Energy is gained as a bonus for damaging asteroids or eliminating energy ants. During your turn you may spend 3 energy tokens, return them to the pool, in order to either draw 1 basic arsenal card, either from the weapon deck or from the equipment deck. Or you can play, you can play energy tokens to continue playing cards from your hand. So for each energy token you spend, you can play 1 more card, and for each 3 energy tokens you spend, you can draw 1 card from either deck. As long as you have energy to spend, you can do this multiple times, meaning drawing cards and playing cards. Playing is cheaper, just need 1 energy. Drawing is more expensive, you need 3 energy. End of round. Once all players have completed their turns, the round ends. At the end of the round, reveal the new Doom token on the Doom track, resolve its effect, and return the token to the game box. Finally, move the round marker to the space to the right. Let's see quickly the Doom token effects. For example, if you flip this Doom token, that means each player gains 1 energy token. If you flip this Doom token, that means that starting from the first player, each player places 1 mine token on any asteroid. If you flip this Doom token, that means starting from the first player, each player draws an equipment card. Respectively, with this one, each player draws a weapons card. You can have this one, which means that the effect of damaged asteroids are not resolved next round. Or even that one, which means starting from the first player, each player may pick at 1 chosen asteroid token. What about that one? That means the players do not draw new cards at the end of the current round. And that's the last one. This is the no effect Doom token. I mentioned that with this one, that at the end of the round, players do not draw a card at the current round. Why is that? Because when the round ends and after you resolve the Doom token, each player, unless you have this icon, in all other cases, each player draws 1 basic arsenal card, either a weapon or equipment, from the appropriate deck. Then you reduce your hand to 4 cards. All types of weapons and equipment cards count, including legendary cards and wings. If you do not have more, if you have more, you discard the excess to the appropriate discard piles, and remember that legendary cards have their own discard pile. And then you're proceeding to the next round, unless you reach the end of the Doom track. And there are no more Doom tokens to flip, which means the game ends. Also keep in mind that during your turn you can have more than 4 cards in hand. You can only adjust the number of cards at the end of the round. If at any time you are supposed to draw a card but the stack is empty, you reshuffle the corresponding discard pile to create a new draw pile, and the next round begins. End of game and final scoring. The game can end in 2 ways. If at any point during the game a player reaches 3 victory points, the game immediately ends and that player is declared the winner instantly. If the round marker should leave space 1 on the Doom track, the game ends and it's time to count victory points. Each flag delivered to your base grants you, if it's a neutral, white flag, 1 victory point. If it's a flag of your color, 2 victory points. Each player counts the number of their VP. The player with the most victory points is the winner of the game. If there is a tie, look at the board and check if the tied players' ants are carrying flags. If so, add victory points for these flags to their score. Again, 1 victory point for a white flag and 2 victory points for a flag of your color. If still tied, compare the number of energy tokens each tied player has. The player with the most energy in this tight situation wins the game. Still no winner? Well, time for a rematch. And there you have it. This is everything you need to know on how to play ANTgravity. So meet me back up for my final opinion and my first impressions from the game.
So there you have it. This is ANTgravity. It's a game that I had no knowledge about, of course, obviously, because it's also a prototype. That means it's been developed, but I haven't played it, I haven't seen it anywhere, I haven't seen any image or picture. And when I first get into it, I thought it was going to be like you know, a family-friendly, simple, approachable, accessible, and easy to get on the table game, which has simple rules, which is the case still. But I didn't expect that it's going to have a pool to me. Gravity pool, here's a joke, as it did in practice. And the reason for that is it's a game that I think it plays 30 to 60 minutes, 2 to 4 players, intended ages 10 and up, but I think you know, we can play it with younger people for sure, if they play board games. It's a game that really is fun and highly enjoyable. And it has this nice doses of take that, because you know, when you destroy an asteroid where your opponents are sitting on and they're carrying flags or anything like that, they're going to be immediately returned to the hospital. There is no player elimination in this game, and this is another thing that I like. You know, there is no player elimination. At the start of your turn, first you recover all your ants that you have in your hospital. You have 2 ants, you can have both of them at the hospital, and then you can activate both of them. And for each activation, you either activate it, move it, and jump, move, and move, jump, and do additional actions. And then the gravity, of course, pulls it. Or draw a card instead of activating the ant. And you do that for both of your ants, one after the other. It's really simple. I mean, it's intended to be simple, I can understand that, but it has a very interesting approach on which ants you activate, what they'll have landed on, what domino effect can happen, you know, because you're most of the times in a vulnerable situation, but you have to make sure you have the odds with you. That means, I'm sure, you know, especially in a 4-player game, people reach you most of the times easier. I haven't played it 4-player the game. I played it a 3-player and 2-player. But I'm sure that in 4-player game this can happen more. But you need to make sure that you try to position yourself in a way that you are as less vulnerable as possible, which is not always easy. What is fun about the game is, first of all, the art. The art really has this like, I don't know, holy grenade and banana bazookas and things that, again, they're going to remind you of Worms. I'm sure there is a bit of inspiration from the video game. Again, I'm referring to Worms, the video game. But the game's flow is fantastic. You know, it really shines through simplicity, I would say. Activate your ant, you know, try to go towards the flags of the bases and pick up ideally your own colored flags and then neutral to get them back to your base and score victory points. Once you're carrying flag, you're going to be on the crosshairs of everybody, trying to even before that, I would say, to relieve you of your cargo. You know, if you're eliminated for the round, because then when it's your next turn, again you play with full ants, both ants. The flags you're carrying are returned, as you've seen, to the home base where they originated from. And as the asteroids are being eliminated, you want to eliminate asteroids also for recovering energy, because you can play more cards with energy and cards can do damage, etc. You have more tactical options, I should say. And you'll find, what I found, at least myself in the game, is that in more times that I thought it would be so, I found ways to navigate cleverly, attach myself cleverly to different locations and make, like, planning ahead. Of course, you cannot plan too far ahead with this game, and that's part of the fun, because there's also a lot of take that, to trying to get the flags to your base. The mechanism of the gravity is fantastic. It's so simple, just an arrow. But it looks like it works in a really nice way, because you imagine you move your ants, and then you imagine jumps, and then slow rotations, and then the gravity pulling you in one direction or the other. It's really nice. It works fantastically and blends nice with a game theme. My only ask, hope this is the case during the campaign. I'm going to follow the campaign closely. They make also some add-on with plastic ants, so you don't have to pick up, you know, the tiles from the board and, you know, push the asteroids a bit, etc. It will be even nicer if you have the possibility as an add-on, I don't know what, as an unlock, to get some plastic miniatures for the ants, so that you can pick them up and rotate them and move them easier. Other than that, the game is fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's very clever, it's very fast, it's very fun, it's light tactics, or light strategy I should say, but with meaningful decisions. It's good for a mixture of young and older people, with casual and non-casual gamers. It's a nice filler, so it's like tick 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 in my book. So highly recommend it. I'm going to, as I said, add a link in the description of the video so you can find out more about the game. Hope I gave you a good understanding of how the game plays and shared my honest opinion about the game as well. So many thanks for watching.